corporation, which basically gives you the ability to sometimes, you know, read between the
care treaba
lines,
și cu
people
Cyberpunk ăsta, bă, că ne arată intro-urile,
cele
3 opțiuni de a-ți face caracterul.
So this isn't just about the start of the game. Can you maybe help people understand how this translates into the gameplay?
Yeah. So the thing is, we make Cyberpunk a real RPG, and part of that is that you can play your character from the start to the end. And of course, you know, we have these life paths affecting the beginning of the game, but we wanted to make it so you have your life path opportunities throughout the whole game until the game is over. And as an example, we do that by giving you additional options and dialogues. So I can give you one specific example. And this is a mission where you have to steal a flathead robot from the Maelstrom gang. Basically, those Maelstromers stole that flathead before from a corporate transport. And the owner of the corporate transport, Meredith Stout, wants you to do something else. And this is an optional objective. And even within that objective, we want to give you some options. So as an example, if you have a corporate life path, you basically know what Meredith Stout is really about. You can read between the lines and you can get some additional options that maybe actually later enable you to do a completely different thing with the Maelstrom gang. And if you're a nomad, you know exactly some more details about how these Maelstromers would have even been able to steal a robot like that from Meredith Stout, who's part of the very powerful Militech corporation. As a street kid, we as an example don't give you a specific new dialogue option in that dialogue, because as a street kid, you do not have a lot of experience dealing with higher up people like Meredith Stout.
Nu știu care intro mi se pare mai potrivit. Mi se pare că cel cu corporate easy, nomad mediu, iar street kid e greu, gen.
Illegal substance. But as a street kid, you actually know what this is about. You can talk some
street kid nu știe prea multe, dar știe chestiile de oraș, pe când restul parcă au așa o idee.
So Philip, I do have a couple of extra questions for you based on the video we just saw. And the first is about nomads. So the nomad life path, this starts in a place called the Badlands. Is this somewhere you get to visit even if you don't pick nomad to start with?
Yes, absolutely. So the thing is, Night City is surrounded by this huge landscape.
Nomad îmi place cel mai mult până acum.
And you can go there whenever you want. So as an example, if you actually do play the Nomad life path at the start and you are in the Badlands, you can even see Night City on the horizon.
Oh, okay.
And we want to give you the option later in the game, if you want, you can just take your car and drive out of the city. You can go there whenever you want. Thing is, you might not want to, because the Badlands can be a pretty dangerous place at first, because time has not been very kind to the Badlands. There have been many wars in the past, there's global warming, so most people that do live out there don't really have another choice about it, or are nomads that love this life and are all about it and are very battle-hardened. We of course also want to tell their stories, because we want to tell many different stories throughout the cyberpunk genre, which means that you will also find missions that lead you out in the Badlands or where you deal with the people living there.
So Philip, can you tell us a little bit more about the character Padre? He's the guy we see giving his business card to Street Kid V in the video. Who is this man?
Yeah, so Padre is actually one of the fixers in Night City. And fixers are people that work as intermediaries. So if someone who has a lot of money needs a problem solved, they go to a fixer. And a fixer then finds people who can solve that problem. And these people are people like you, the cyberpunks. Fixers are very territorial. So Padre specifically works from Haywood, which is where you as a street kid grew up in, so you already know him. You might have already seen another one of our fixers who is called Dexter Deshawn, and he works in a different part of the city. So specifically Padre, you might know him as a street kid, but even if you played other life paths, you might sooner or later meet him because he's operating in Haywood, which is a pretty big place with many good jobs. So if you want to make some cash there, you will sooner or later deal with Padre.
Philip, thank you so much for joining us. Now on my first playthrough, pretty sure I'm going to be picking Nomad, but for those watching, we would love to know what you'll be picking, so have a think about it and send us a tweet.
Sure.
Don't forget that later in this episode, we're going to be showing you another new gameplay video and having a chat to Pavel, our senior gameplay designer, about just some of the tools of destruction that will be at your disposal in Night City. But before that, let's talk about music, because music plays a huge part in bringing Night City to life. Now in future episodes, we're going to talk about things like radio stations and even the original score. But today we're going to take a look behind the scenes at how Refused to bringing Johnny Silverhand's band Samurai to life.
Ja zic verej. Nós vamos larta pe piano, boys.
I wouldn't write these lyrics for myself.
Oh, uite că l-au
So
băgat.
it's kind of interesting to get into like the mindset of who is this character and what would they write about, or what's their agenda.
Firar scrie acolo.
It's interesting to try to like catch a language that's his and try to catch a language that's like part of this game.
Cooperation with who? Refused, n-am fost în viața aia de ei. Da, e ok.
There is a reason why
să zicem. În Sweden. La PewDiePie acasă.
Piotr maybe who was a fan of the band.
He knew Refused and he knew my voice and he said, oh, that's a perfect voice for Johnny.
Wait, stai, vocea lui Johnny nu e de fapt Keanu? Sau cred că el e doar la partea cu muzica?
And they wanted, I guess, a sound that was a bit contemporary from when Johnny's supposed to have had the band, because he's sort of like an anti-establishment kind of guy.
Gonna drag a corporal rat on stage, make him kneel, douse him with gas, and light him up.
So of course there are things that you can relate to, and like just like this outcast and this rebel that's fighting against like,
Johnny. What the fuck?
And that's definitely something that's been a part of my life and a part of Refused life.
We came out of the punk rock scene of northern Sweden.
He's like the future version of us, you know? So I think it makes sense. I think it totally makes sense for us to be here making these songs about him or for him, you know? So it's pretty cool.
Goddamn.
Yeah. No trills. But yeah, but like wide vibrato.
And then, I mean, just sort of build, slowly build sort of intensity.
We don't have a different mode than just going all in. So we really work on these songs, trying to make them as good as possible. But then they're not actually our songs.
It's interesting as a musician to play another musician, because that's essentially what we're doing. I mean, we're not here as Refused, we're here as Samurai. And I'm here with Johnny Silverhand, you know, so it's like the voice we're representing here is someone else.
We'll never fade away!
It's been a mind...
God damn! Oh, aia. Din outro. Ce ceva camera din prezentare de la Ikea.
I mean, the shouting in itself is just like second nature to me, because I've been doing this for a very long time. But then
Microfon interesant.
when someone comes in and says,
I'm happy with everything except for Azza Lim. Again, it's Azza. Azza.
I think we had it earlier, but let's do one more.
Okay.
the shouting's great, but think of that accent, or think of that like enunciation. It's a bit weird because it's a very different way of singing when you're screaming like that, and it's hard to sort of
swallowing some syllables there.
Adjust your accent.
Oh yeah, just try it again.
So it's been a bit kind of frustrating.
It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great.
No,
I mean, I get it. I mean,
horribile.
you have to maintain the illusion that this character that's a character of the game also is me. Like when I'm singing. So it makes sense, but yeah, it's a bit different to have someone telling you exactly how to enunciate things, because I'm not used to, usually people are just like give me a thumbs up and then like, you know, you think the things like the rhythm and you think about the pitch and you think about all these things, but then someone comes in and like, that word sounded weird. I'm like, what? No, that's how I sing. But so it's been a very, yeah.
Costă extraordinar. Pe orice AKG costă mult în general, ce produs de AKG costă mult, dar surâte. Damn! Forță!
It's a very interesting thing to be part of. As a person that's not a gamer, I don't think I fully understand the impact that this might have. If people like these songs and if people are excited, then that's gonna be great.
Bro,
I mean, we are spending
dacă jocul o să fie fain și imaginează că muzica ta o să fie mega ascultată pe Spotify.
So it's quite interesting.
What the fuck?
It's a very different
Cum să nu știi care e impactul? De obicei muzica are un impact foarte mare în jocul. What the fuck? Like holy shit, băiatul ăsta nu știe care e treaba.
You can already find 3 Samurai tracks available on streaming services. Chipping In, Never Fade Away, and The Ballad of Buck Ravers.
Deja le găsiți pe Spotify,
boys. Announce a 4th new song called A Like Supreme, which is coming to streaming services today. That means you can check it out once the show is over. Don't forget that if you're tuning in late, or if you just want to watch anything again, we will be uploading everything to our channel soon. Next up, Pavel and I are going to introduce you to some creative ways that you can solve problems in Night City.
AV, I have a job for you. A client of mine is making an arms deal. He needs protection. It could get hot.
Doamne, știu cât de bine poate să arate jocul ăsta, oare.
The gun dealers on Maelstrom.
Sper să scoate Nvidia plăcile aia video mai repede ca să pot să-mi iau și eu. Trebuie să-mi încarc sistemul cum trebuie, boys. Vreau să mă asigur că joc chestia asta în quality as fuck. Altfel nu e bine. Like Joker? Ca Joker din garaj? Da, Nvidia scoate 3000-urile. Deja fac teasere prea multe pe canal, pe toate ale lor. Ce-mi place muzica. Și shotgun, vere, what the fuck? Smart weapons. Mamă, câte sunt! Înseamnă cu jocul la Syndicate. Smart pistol, am înțeles. Ok, dude. God damn. Smart pistol. Oh shit, man. Oh shit, man. Jesus. Gorilla arm. Holy shit, frate, cât de tare arată.
Sovi, are you willing?
Yeah, I'm in.
God damn. God damn.
Pavel, thank you so much for joining me. Now, there was an awful lot in that video, right? Because there's more than just guns.
Absolutely. We have melee weapons, we have ranged weapons, we have cyberware, we have offensive cyberware, defensive cyberware, armor. We could talk for hours and hours about this stuff.
I think just for today's episode, we should keep it simple and let's just talk about guns. Can you tell us the different types of guns that will be in the game?
So we have 3 distinct types of guns in our game. We have power weapons, we have tech weapons, and we have smart weapons. Now, power weapons are the most similar to contemporary weapons. One thing they can do, which normal weapons cannot, is ricochet bullets off of surfaces. So you can hit somebody hiding behind cover or hiding behind a wall. Now, tech weapons, on the other hand, use electromagnetic power to propel a fully metal projectile to extreme velocities. What that allows them to do is to punch through cover or punch through walls to hit somebody who's not even aware that you're there. Smart weapons use guided missile technology to actually track targets in real time. So you can hit somebody who's dodging, running away from you, or you can hit somebody who's hiding behind cover.
So Pavel, Cyberpunk doesn't just contain FPS elements, right? It's also a fully fledged RPG. So can you tell us how you guys approached introducing those RPG elements into gunplay?
So I can tell you one thing, Holly, it wasn't easy to merge those two elements together. Now, we've spent a considerable amount of time merging the RPG and FPP side of our game. What the player will experience is that V changes from a small-time mercenary to a legend in the world of Night City. V becomes more and more proficient in using weapons as the game progresses. So they will see that reload times become shorter, the accuracy of your weapons grows, you will have faster aiming time, you will move faster with your weapons. Everything becomes more in your control, and that gives you more opportunities to defeat the biggest encounters that we've designed for you.
So I have prepared a few extra questions for you, Pavel, if you're feeling up to it.
Of course.
Okay, well the first is going to be, how do you find more weapons in Night City? Like, where will players be looking for?
So I expect the players to look everywhere for new and exciting weapons. You can, of course, buy weapons at vendor shops, and they will house an entire catalog of weaponry that you can get. However, the best weapons that you can find will be taken from enemies or loot caches that we have everywhere in Night City. The weapons rarities range from common through uncommon up to rare and then legendary. And as they go in rarity, they actually climb in power. However, legendary weapons are very specific in such a way that they possess unique abilities that you will find on no other weapons in the game. The players will actually need to make some tough choices to find some legendary weapons, because maybe they need to choose whether to kill a person who holds the legendary weapons that they want, or to spare them because they like them as a character.
So next question, let's talk about weapon modifications. What mods can people give to their weapons in Night City?
So we have two types of modifications in the game. One of them would be modifications that we call attachments. So these would be scopes and silencers, and you can see them actually being attached to your weapon as you're playing the game. They give you statistics advantage, and they give you more opportunities in gameplay. The other part of mods would be software mods. Now, these are basically small chips that you install in your weapon, and they actually change the statistics of the gun. They can give you damage, they can give you accuracy, or they can give you more fire rate. Some of those mods actually change the gunplay on a more fundamental level, so they can give you non-lethal rounds, biochemical rounds, to tear through that armor even faster.
So I suppose for my final question, why don't you tell us about your favorite weapon then? Which is your favorite weapon so far in Night City?
Oh, there are so many weapons that it's hard to choose just one, but I can mention some manufacturers with their weapons that I absolutely adore. The first manufacturer would be Tsunami Defense Systems, who produces the sniper rifle Nekomata. That's a tech sniper rifle. That means that it can pierce through walls. So you can actually hit somebody who's hiding behind cover, or who doesn't even know you're there. Of course, I also like a close quarters approach. And what that needs is a shotgun. One of the shotguns that we have in the game is Budget Arms Carnage. Now, that thing is cast from pure steel, and it weighs a ton. However, you can cut a person clean in half with it. Another shotgun that I absolutely love, it's for a more refined approach, I would say, is a smart shotgun, Kangtao Zhuo. That thing has 8 barrels, and that means it can track 8 targets independently. Now, killing an entire room was never simpler.
Pavel, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm actually pretty interested to see what kind of weapons people discover when they play Cyberpunk for themselves. Before we end episode 2, this is a reminder that those who wish to dive deeper into the lore can now pick up The World of Cyberpunk 2077. This is a brand new book created in collaboration with Dark Horse Books that will give you an extensive look at what makes Night City tick before jumping into the game this November. That is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget that if you've missed anything, or if you just want to watch again, we will be uploading everything to our channels shortly. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back with Night City Wire Episode 3 soon.
Stai, mai face încă unul? Cred că o să fac unul fix înainte de lansare, adică ăsta de acum. Bă, sincer e blană. Noiembrie, boys, noiembrie. Soon, boys. 2-3 luni. Bă, arată prea bine jocul, prea șmecher, sincer, abia aștept. Mai ales după prezentarea asta, parcă s-o leacă mai interesat de joc, dar știi? Așteptăm să vedem că vine treaba.